I hope everybody's had a wonderful Cine Gear. This is actually my third year doing a panel in this room at Cine Gear in a row, which is pretty exciting for me. My name is Eldine Nordia. I'm the Senior Product Information Manager for Sony cameras and camcorders. I'm based out of San Diego, and our primary focus is, we have action cam, handy cam, but the alpha system of cameras. And we're pretty excited because this is a presentation. It's going to be a panel discussion with some folks I'll introduce in a second, who shot what we think is the first full-length feature film that has been shot in an A7 series camera, shot in the A7R Mark II. And we're going to go through quite a few different topics. And I think, without any further ado, what I'd like to do is start off with the first clip that we like to show from the movie. And it's called 3 Days in August. And this is a dance scene. So let's have a look at this.
Shall see. Drink? Oh, yeah.
The director of the film, Johnathan Brownlee, is unavailable to join us, and he'll actually explain in a little video clip in a little while. It's actually his 50th birthday tomorrow, and his 50th birthday today, and his son is graduating tomorrow. So he was kind enough to let us show some clips and be at the panel without him. But to my left, we have Jeff Berlin. He is not only a Sony Artisan of imagery, but he's also the producer of the film. He's been an artisan for probably 4 years now, and worked on a few features, and this is the first producer title, I think, that you've had on a full feature, right?
Correct.
Great. So Jeff Berlin, and then to his left, we have Bongani Mlambo. Bongani is actually up and coming. I think you've been in the industry about 3 years now, and you've done several music videos and adverts, and this is your first-length feature film that you've DP'd the entire film. So really a great accomplishment, and we're really excited because not only first for him doing a feature film, but first on the A7 series. And then Cem Ozkilicci. Very good. I nailed it. So Cem is a colorist at Alter Ego, and Alter Ego is the color house that actually did the color correcting for Mad Max, the recent film. So really a great place to be working. And although Cem didn't work on that particular film, he has worked on a number of others, including The Wave, which I was mentioning now, which is the first ACES movie that was shown in
Norway.
In Norway,
yeah, it was
right?
graded in ACES.
Graded, yeah. There we go. So I think a really esteemed panel, and I think without any further ado, we're going to get into the Q&A portion of this. What was the genesis of this film? Where did it come from? How did it come about? I think it's part of an important step that a lot of people miss when we're going to doing a panel discussion, because we come in and how do we get where we are? So let's have a look at how we got where we are.
Hi, I'm Johnathan Brownlee, and I'm the director and producer of 3 Days in August. I'm sorry I can't be with you today in Los Angeles at Cine Gear, but today is my 50th birthday, and tomorrow is my son's high school graduation, so I was sort of double booked this weekend. But I know the folks at Sony, Jeff Berlin, Bongani Mlambo, and Cem Ozkilicci will be able to handle any questions you might have on the panel discussion. So 3 Days in August started with an international screenwriting competition. We received 200 submissions from 26 countries around the world. Ultimately, we chose a great script from Chad Berry and David Longlinay. I sat down with Chad and David, and over 4 weeks did a complete rewrite of the script, and we were ready to shoot the film in October. We already had a production budget in place, $200,000, which doesn't sound like a lot. It's not. And we knew that we had an April 19th world premiere at Dallas International Film Festival, as well as a guaranteed limited national theatrical release from our partners at Studio Movie Grill. So we had a great package in place, a great story to tell, great script to shoot.
All right, great. So really interesting how a film comes about, and as you can tell, there was a lot of things lined up for this film. I don't know, Jeff, I know you had a couple of discussions with Johnathan prior. I don't know if you have anything that you wanted to add there while I line up the next clip.
As you'll see in a second in the next clip from Johnathan, he called me about another project that he was working on, and we were discussing cameras on that. And I don't want to get too far ahead. Do you want to just...
I just also wanted to state that we're not, everything was shot in 4K, and we're not presenting in 4K here. So this is not an accurate representation of what the final product looks like. It actually looks a lot better. But the question that we had is, now that you've got this film in hand, it's been selected, you have a roadmap of what's going to happen with this film. How did you come about selecting Sony cameras, and why specifically would you select the A7 series? So let's hear from Johnathan first.
Now came time to pick gear, what platform are we going to shoot this on. So my go-to guy is Jeff Berlin, and I've shot films and other projects. Last feature, Occupy Texas, I shot on the F-55, worked great. And I was actually shooting a documentary called Fathom on the FS7, which I love. I love that camera. So I called Jeff and I said, would that camera be appropriate for this? Or what else was Sony working on that maybe we should think about? And he talked a lot about the alpha bodies. I own an A7S and a Shogun, so I understand that combination together, and I've shot great pictures with that.
Okay, so Jeff, I know that you obviously had a lot of conversations going into this with Johnathan. Could you tell us a little bit how the conversation evolved, and then what role you had in that?
So Johnathan, like I was just saying, dropped me a line, and we started talking about different camera options for this project. And I've been working on the Sony Alpha cameras on a bunch of different projects since it came out, really, as an artisan. I had access to that camera right off the boat, really. And I did a lot of, especially with the A7S, when that came out, that was really transformative for the convergence of video and stills in one body. 12 megapixel, great low light, an amazing, direct pixel readout, the quality of video signal, and S-Log. I mean, there's a lot of great features in that camera. So and then, over the couple of years that I've worked with that camera, I have experience also taking that footage to a post house that I work with in Burbank. And so I know what you could do with a full color grade shooting with that camera in S-Log, with the dynamic range and the exposure latitude and the color space and all what we could do. So I felt very comfortable saying to Johnathan, I think the A7S or Alpha Body, that camera is, really something that we should consider. And so I went to Eldine, and I dropped Eldine a line. And I said, hey, this is really an interesting project. It's funded. The money is in place. They have a distribution deal already in place. I mean, this is really happening. This is a legit project, and I'd like to support it. And so I said, I think we should just take like 6 A7Ss down there, and we'll get into the other support gear that
yeah, he never asked for one. It's like, having an issue. We want 6.
And so I called Eldine. I'm like, I want 6 A7Ss. This is the dates. This is a really cool project. I sent them a bunch of information about it, some press releases, all kinds of stuff. And then...
Yeah, so, I get this call from Jeff, and I'm sitting there in my office. In the meantime, what's running in the back of my mind is the day before, we just had a video conference with Japan, and they said, hey, we've got a new camera coming for you. It's A7R Mark II. And if anybody knows Sony, we try and control leaks extremely closely. So there's like 4 or 5 people in the entire United States who actually knows this camera coming, and we're threatened by death if we mention anything about it. And I'm sitting there nodding at my desk going, yeah, A7S is great. Yeah, we'll support you. We'll support you. Meanwhile, I put down the phone and I say to my colleague, Mark, wow, here's a great opportunity. A7R is coming. This is the way to kick it off. This is the way to go. So we actually scrambled with Japan, and we got the first couple of cameras that came off the production line. which was literally 2.
I mean, I drove down to the Sony headquarters down in San Diego, and I was like, okay, this is what it's all about. This is the project. It was an important project, and I wanted FaceTime. I didn't want to just talk over the phone and be like, let's see how we can do this. So I went in there, and I physically was like, we got to do this. This is really, really cool. And I'm saying, I'm sitting there in front of, the marketing team and a bunch of the product managers, and I'm like, A7S, 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 and they're all sitting there.
Oh, yeah, we're nodding. Yes, sure. A7S is going to be, meanwhile. So we got 2 cameras. We got a pre-production model because that was the only amount of cameras that we actually could get our hands on straight out of Japan, and sent the 3 cameras off, and they had to make do with 3, and then production started. So,
and we should specify too that the premise was always to export 4K into the Adamus Shogun.
Yeah. So we've got a pretty good relationship with Adamus. So obviously it's a very good combination. The A7 shoots internal. It'll do 4K XAVCS, 2430p. 420 at 8-bit, but external you get 422 and it's uncompressed. So whatever your recorder is set to, and I believe you guys were shooting at ProRes.
We were shooting ProRes.
Right. So you get a massive amount of data coming through that camera.
So, and it turned out actually that the A7R2 was the perfect camera because of the way the sensor reads data when it's in a Super 35 crop mode.
Right. So what you're talking about is
the lens, our lens package
right.
too.
So no line skipping or pixel binning when you're in the Super 35 crop, which gives you an extremely clean image. And obviously, if you're using Super 35 lenses or PL mount lenses, then it really works. So that actually brings me to my next question: is how did you guys go about selecting the lenses, and what lenses did you select?